The crash echoed down the palm-lined street like a gunshot. Carbon fiber splintered. Red paint shattered into glittering shards under the brutal afternoon sun. A crowd gasped in unison as the sleek, low-slung body of a custom Ferrari sat crooked at the curb, one wheel bent at a sickening angle. And standing there, hands still gripping the bat he'd just swung, was a smirking rich teenager who thought he'd just made a statement. He had no idea whose car it was. The Ferrari wasn't just any Ferrari. It was a deep crimson Ferrari, hand-detailed, limited edition, custom-tuned monster that purred like restrained thunder. The kind of car that didn't scream for attention, it commanded it. And next to it stood a quiet man in a simple gray hoodie, broad shoulders relaxed, bald head catching the sunlight, dark sunglasses hiding his eyes. Nobody paid attention to him at first. Because the kid? He was loud. Gold chain, designer sneakers, expensive watch flashing every time he gestured. His friends were filming on their phones, laughing, hyping him up. "Do it again," one of them shouted. The teenager swung the bat once more, cracking the side mirror clean off. The quiet man didn't move, didn't flinch, didn't shout. He just watched. "Hey, old man." The teen sneered, stepping closer. "Maybe next time park somewhere you can afford." The crowd murmured. Some pulled out their phones. Others stepped back, sensing something deeper brewing. The quiet man slowly removed his sunglasses. And that's when a woman across the street gasped. "Oh my God!" A whisper rippled through the air like electricity. "It's him." But the teenager didn't notice. He was too busy flexing for the camera. "You know how much my dad's car costs," he bragged. "3 of these." The quiet man tilted his head slightly, voice calm and low. "Is that right?" That voice. Heavy, smooth, grounded like bedrock. The teenager blinked. Something about it sounded familiar. But ego is loud. And pride is deaf. "Yeah," he snapped. "You gonna cry about it?" A small smile tugged at the corner of the man's mouth. "No," he said softly. "I'm just wondering if your dad knows you're about to buy me a new one." The crowd gasped again. And then someone finally said it out loud. "That's Dwayne Johnson." Silence. The bat slipped from the teenager's hand and clattered onto the pavement. The teenager's face drained of color. "No way," he whispered. The quiet man stepped forward, towering now, presence expanding like a storm cloud rolling in. "You broke my car," Dwayne said evenly. Intentionally. The phones were still recording. But now the laughter was gone. Only tension remained. The teen stammered. I didn't know it was yours." Dwayne raised an eyebrow. "And that would have made it okay?" The question hung heavy in the air. Because it wasn't about fame. It wasn't about money. It was about respect. The Ferrari's engine ticked as it cooled, the sound almost rhythmic in the silence. Dwayne looked at the damage, then back at the teenager. "You think because you've got money, you can destroy something that isn't yours?" The teen's friends were slowly backing away now, slipping out of frame. "My dad will pay for it," the teenager said weakly. Dwayne folded his arms. "I'm not worried about the money." That confused him. "Then what?" Dwayne stepped closer, lowering his voice so only the kid could hear. "I'm worried about who you're becoming." That hit harder than the bat ever could. Police sirens wailed faintly in the distance. Someone had already called them. The teenager swallowed hard. He wasn't facing some random, quiet man anymore. He was standing inches from a global icon who had built his life from discipline, respect, and relentless work. A man who went from wrestling rings to Hollywood blockbusters. A man who had fought for every inch of success. Dwayne looked him in the eyes. "You think strength is breaking things?" He shook his head slowly. "Strength is control." The officers arrived quickly, stepping out of their car and instantly recognizing the situation. One officer blinked in surprise. "Mr. Johnson?" Dwayne nodded politely. "This young man damaged my vehicle." The teenager's bravado was gone. Completely. His hands trembled. "Sir, we'll need statements," the officer said. Dwayne looked at the kid again. "Tell them what you did." The teen hesitated. Then, in front of everyone, he said it. "I broke it. On purpose." His voice cracked. For the first time, he wasn't performing. He was exposed. As officers began taking photos, Dwayne stepped aside. A small boy in the crowd approached him cautiously. "Are you really him?" the kid asked. Dwayne smiled warmly now, kneeling slightly. "Yeah, buddy. Why aren't you mad?" That question lingered. Dwayne glanced at the shattered Ferrari, then at the teenager being questioned. "I am mad," he said honestly. "But anger doesn't build anything." The boy nodded slowly. like he understood more than he should at that age. The teenager's father arrived 20 minutes later in a sleek black Mercedes-Benz, stepping out in a tailored suit, face tight, with controlled fury. What happened? He didn't look at Dwayne first. He looked at his son, and the son couldn't even meet his eyes. The officer explained. Silence followed. Then the father turned to Dwayne. I am deeply sorry. Dwayne studied him carefully. Do you teach him that money fixes disrespect? The father stiffened. No. Good, Dwayne replied. Because it doesn't. The street had grown quiet again. The cameras were still recording. But now they were capturing something different. Not a meltdown. A lesson. The father faced his son. You will work to repay this, he said firmly. The teen blinked. Work? Yes. Every dollar. You'll understand what value means. Dwayne nodded slowly. That was the first thing said all afternoon that felt right. As the tow truck hooked up the damaged Ferrari, sunlight glinting off broken glass, Dwayne turned back to the teenager one last time. You're lucky it was my car. The teen looked confused. Why? Because I believe in second chances. The words hit. Harder than humiliation. Harder than fear. Dwayne extended his hand. The teenager hesitated, then shook it. His grip was weak. Dwayne's was steady. Be better, Dwayne said quietly. And just like that, the loudest moment of the day ended in silence. But the story didn't. Because what happened next? It changed the teenager's life in ways nobody saw coming. Weeks later, instead of flashing cash and filming pranks, the rich teen was waking up at 5 a.m., working construction under the same brutal sun that had witnessed his arrogance. He was sweating, struggling, learning, and every time his hands blistered, he remembered the calm voice that said, "Strength is control." Meanwhile, Dwayne received something unexpected in the mail. A handwritten letter. No fancy logo. No legal jargon. Just simple words. I thought being rich meant being powerful. I was wrong. Thank you for not destroying me when you could have. Dwayne read it twice, then smiled. Because sometimes the most powerful comeback isn't revenge. It's restraint. And restraint has a sound. Not loud like shattering glass. Not sharp like a bat striking carbon fiber. It sounds like breath held and then released. The story should have ended there. A broken car. A humbled teenager. A handshake under the California sun. But growth doesn't end at the apology. It begins after it. And for the first time in his life, the rich teen had to live without applause. The first week on the construction site was brutal. No designer sneakers. No gold chain. No crowd hyping him up. Just steel beams. Cement dust. And a foreman who didn't care whose son he was. You're late. The foreman barked the first morning. It's 5:02. The teen looked down at his watch, the expensive one he used to flash for attention. The foreman wasn't impressed. Then you're 2 minutes late. That was the first crack in his ego. The second came when his palms blistered by noon. By day 3, his back ached in places he didn't know could hurt. By day 5, he stopped checking his phone every 10 minutes. Nobody was filming him here. Nobody cared. And strangely, that felt honest. Back in his home gym, Dwayne Johnson was pulling heavy iron like usual, sweat dripping from his temples, headphones on, focused. But between reps, he thought about the kid. Not with anger. With curiosity. Would he change? Or would he resent the lesson? Dwayne knew something about second chances. He'd lived through them. He'd rebuilt himself more than once. He understood that humiliation can either harden you or humble you. It depends on the choice you make after. 2 weeks later, something unexpected happened. The teenager showed up at the gym. Not for a photo. Not for attention. He waited quietly by the entrance, wearing plain workout clothes. Eyes different now. Less sharp. Less entitled. When Dwayne noticed him, he didn't react immediately. He finished his set, racked the weights, wiped the bench, then walked over. You here to break something? Dwayne asked calmly. The teen swallowed. No, sir. That, sir, carried more weight than the Ferrari ever did. I wanted to ask if I could train. Dwayne studied him carefully. Why? The kid hesitated. Because I realized I'm weak. Dwayne raised an eyebrow. You're not weak. The teen shook his head. I am. I needed a bat to feel strong. Silence. Honest silence. Dwayne nodded slowly. All right. Training under Dwayne wasn't glamorous. It wasn't a montage from a Hollywood film. There was no dramatic music. Just reps. Sweat. Correction. Back straight. Control the weight. Breathe. The first session ended with the teenager lying flat on the gym floor, chest rising and falling like he'd just survived a storm. Dwayne stood over him. What did you learn? The teen managed a tired smile. That strength isn't loud. Dwayne nodded once. Good. Weeks passed. The construction job continued. The gym sessions became routine. The teen stopped posting flashy content online. His followers dropped. His friends disappeared. But something else grew. Discipline. And discipline is quiet. One afternoon, after a brutal workout, Dwayne tossed him a towel. Why'd you really smash that car? He asked. The teen stared at the floor. I thought, if I destroyed something expensive, it would prove I mattered. Dwayne's expression didn't change. And did it? The teen shook his head slowly. It made me small. There it was. The breakthrough. Dwayne leaned back against the wall. You don't build respect by tearing things down. You build it by building yourself. The teen nodded, absorbing every word. Meanwhile, word of the incident had long faded from headlines. People moved on. But growth doesn't need an audience. One evening, the teen's father walked into his son's room and noticed something strange. No loud music. No online arguments. No expensive shopping bags. Just a notebook, filled with goals, savings calculations, workout routines, and one sentence written across the top. Be better. The father sat down quietly. For the first time, he felt proud. Not because of money, but because of effort. Months later, the repaired Ferrari rolled out of a private garage, flawless, gleaming under the lights. A masterpiece of Ferrari engineering once again. Dwayne ran his hand lightly along the hood. Reinforced, stronger than before. Just like the lesson. He decided to take it for a drive. And he knew exactly where. The construction site was buzzing when the red Ferrari pulled up slowly at the curb. Heads turned instantly. The engine purred, not aggressive, just present. The teenager looked up from carrying lumber. Their eyes met. This time, there was no fear. No arrogance. Just recognition. Dwayne stepped out. Walked over. You almost paid it off, he said casually. The teen wiped sweat from his forehead. I will. I know. There was something different in Dwayne's tone now. Approval. Not because of who the teen's father was, but because of who the teen was becoming. Take a break, Dwayne said. They walked a few steps away from the noise. You understand why I didn't press harder charges? Dwayne asked. Yes. Why? The teen answered without hesitation. Because you weren't trying to punish me. You were trying to wake me up. Dwayne's jaw tightened slightly. That's right. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small envelope. Inside was a gym membership card, fully paid for a year. You earned this. The teen blinked. I didn't finish paying for the car yet. This isn't about the car. It never was. The foreman whistled in the background, calling workers back. The teen looked at Dwayne. I won't waste it. I know, Dwayne replied. And this time, when they shook hands, the grip was different. Firm. Grounded. Equal. The red Ferrari pulled away slowly, sunlight reflecting off its polished surface. But the most powerful thing that day wasn't the car. It was the transformation. Because breaking something is easy. Rebuilding yourself? That takes strength most people never develop. And somewhere between shattered glass and sunrise workouts, a rich teen stopped trying to prove he mattered and started becoming someone who did. All because one man chose restraint over revenge and showed him that real power isn't about what you can destroy. It's about what you can build.